Let's party.
Hello! Welcome! It is Party Loader time, of course. We're talking about everything great in the world of video games. Your next podcast for this week. We have the four of us joining you as always. My name's Luke Retallick. We have down below me Christian Paulson Brown. We have Adrian Chia, get my directions right, and Matt, the Game Dad Diet, on the other side as well. Welcome back, gents. Another week in paradise.
Yep, another week exactly here and about 5 feet over there. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've not moved from this spot since the last time we were podcasting.
I was going to say, like, I've got my fridge down below. I've taken a few craps into this bin, so I probably should change it at some point.
I just cut a hole in the bottom of my chair and out of sight, out of mind.
Yep. Well, mine's out of sight, but it's certainly not out of mind, I can tell you that. Whew. Anyway, that's what I've got children for. So
Is that what we're about now? Just shitting in the bucket jokes?
I don't know what kind of jokes you're talking about, man, but this is reality.
I've never even implied anything so disgusting between the four of us.
I'm sure you haven't.
I can't believe you would go in that direction, Luke. I'm very.
It's been like 10 minutes.
not even been that. We're just warming up. We soldier on nonetheless. It's a weird month. Like, I think we hit that space where March was like seeming like it dragged forever, and April seems like it's actually going reasonably quickly in some weird ways.
How far in are we?
Like
8 days?
2 weeks, I think.
8 days.
Yeah.
2029, I think.
Yeah.
29.
That's where we are.
Well, I mean, but partly all the stuff going on aside, like, I know that last month dragged a bit because I was like really hanging out for a couple of game releases in particular. So it's like, are they here yet, sort of thing. But now, like, we're spoiled for choice of things to play and do. Depending on whether you still got the time to do so, I guess. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. But some of us are still playing old games, which is totally cool too. So, Adrian, I saw you've been getting back into Diablo during the week. What's going on with Diabs?
I was just looking for something to play that would like give me a bit of legs, a bit of time. And so I went back and had a look at some of the grindier games that I get into. And Destiny, I was like, I've done that too recently.
Yeah.
Warframe really, I think, was because of the for me to really get the most out of Warframe, I need to pay for some of the boosters that they offer. And I don't really want to play it without those boosters because I feel like you're not maximizing, and I'm happy to spend the money on it
because you know it's good.
Yeah. But I don't have the money, so Warframe was out. So I just thought of Diablo 3, and I decided to give that another go. And then I found out while looking into it that they've released some new item sets for the Barbarian, the Wizard, and the Witch Doctor. Mm-hmm. So I was like, cool, that's a good enough reason to jump back in. So I have, and my routine, it's very sad, but my routine has been wake up, play Diablo. Yesterday, I think it was for about 10 hours, play Diablo, then go to bed, then wake up and play Diablo. Copy-paste. That's been my week so far.
It doesn't sound super sad, but like in the current environment, I can understand why that seems like way grindier than it would normally be.
I mean, it's testimony enough that my eyes have, like, I think, been damaged from the situation. Wow. In front of the screen for that period of time.
Diablo is still a pretty colourful game. Like you, there's a lot of flashing lights and shit like that. So I can
I think it's just the huge amount of screen time. But anyway, it's been good. It's been fine. It's been fun. It's the same old stuff. I mean, for those unaware, Diablo do this thing where they do a season at a time. So I can't remember how long the seasons run for. It's like a few months, I think. And then you create what's called a seasonal character. So you basically start a fresh character. The character, all the items and the collectibles on your account reset, so you basically have nothing. And then you play through the season, and you can earn rewards by ticking off a couple of achievements for that season. It's kind of like that kind of Fortnite Destiny
Battle Pass
style
thing.
battle. It's kind of like a battle pass, but this came out way before any of that was even in effect. And it doesn't have like a tracker the way those ones do. It's just literally like 30 or 40 achievements, and once you do them all, you get like a profile and a pet and like some cosmetic stuff, and that's it. Like,
I could be wrong, but I think Diablo might have been one of the earliest games to sort of adopt the seasonal model properly.
Yeah. I totally believe that Diablo 4 will probably have like a full battle pass style system, because I don't see why they wouldn't do it, and every other game's doing it. I mean, who knows? They may not, but it would work quite well for Diablo, I think, provided they can keep the content coming. So yeah, that's been fun. I've just been doing that, and I just thought I'd like add up the number of hours across the game. So Diablo 3 is sitting at 620 hours for me at the moment. So
damn.
It's funny because I've mentioned before I don't often think about Diablo as being one of my main played games, but the hours don't lie, so that's good.
Yeah,
it's representative. I mean, on the Witch Doctor alone, it's almost 200 hours of just that one character, and then
I would have immediately assumed that was your character of choice.
The Witch Doctor. Yeah. I do love him. So
I have to ask though, like that amount of hours put into the game, how many shinies have you found?
Well, there are a couple of items in the game that you could consider shinies because the drop rate is so infinitesimally small, and on top of that, the area that you find that item in has like a 1 in 10,000 chance of even spawning. So, but unlike Pokemon, I don't go hunting for those. I just happen to have found them. But yeah, good times. It has made me very excited for Diablo 4 whenever the hell that comes out. I've got no idea. Does anyone know? Has there been? They even no
nothing official.
It's super hard to say given the environment of things this year too, because
it'll be next year, I bet.
I think it actually could end up being Blizzard's saving grace this year to have a bit of delay on things. Sorry, this year, for things that they might be doing now next year.
Right.
Yeah.
When's Overwatch 2 is supposed to be this year?
Yeah, it was like, wasn't it this month?
I don't know if they technically said that. Like they've got the beta or the alpha out for the new World of Warcraft expansion at the moment, I think.
Right.
Well, that's just about to kick off. Which they were due for that because they've typically had the 2-year cycle for their WoW expansions, so they're pretty much on track to their normal cadence for that. But I don't think they actually said dates firmly for anything else. And I mean, even the Diablo Immortal, the mobile game, we've still heard not a peep about because of, obviously that went down like a wet fart and they chose to pivot whenever they release that in whatever form it's going to be in. So, yeah.
There's already been multiple delays on games this year. So I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Overwatch fell into the next year and Diablo was the same.
Yeah.
The only last thing worth noting about Diablo 3 is that the Witch Doctor has a spell called Plague of Toads, where he like sends frogs jumping out away from him. And he used to go, "Ayo, ayo."
They didn't change it, did they?
Yeah, he doesn't do it anymore.
What?
Yeah, it's sad.
Refund. Get a refund.
What does he do instead?
He just goes, "Ay." He doesn't do like, he doesn't do like a big voodoo chant like he used to.
Oh, disappointed.
I know, it's a shame.
Disappointed.
Maybe he's got a frog in his throat. Cool. So, moving on then. Matt, you are Stellarising still? What's up this week?
Yeah. I started a new Stellaris game. I actually started 2 new Stellaris games. I started one off where I was trying to do something a little bit different. I was playing kind of a mixed race thing, doing
Aggressive.
Yeah. Not that kind of mixed race. No, like a mixed species.
Definitely not that kind. No.
I would never, with a 10-foot pole, go anywhere near.
Wow.
We get you, Matt. We get you.
My God.
I always suspected, but
Flesh and cybernetics?
No, they were kind of a spiritualist military egalitarian empire. So that's why I kind of started with. I got bored of them really fast, so I went back to my old favorite space nerd robots with flesh pets, basically.
This game, Matt, is
Yeah. So basically, there's a So when you play robots, you can play a bunch of different types of robots. So you can play like the Borg. So you know they just go and take over everything. You can basically play like the Terminator robots, or you can play this thing that's rogue servitors, where they basically have so they've been created by a master race essentially, and then that race has been. Basically, they've created robots that are so good that the robots just pamper them. And so you just basically take care of them. I know. I can see you going like, oh, Master Race, we're now doing this thing as well. God damn.
I haven't seen anything.
You didn't have to say anything. I can see your face.
I only had one question going through my mind the entire time. Where can I get a flesh pet?
I'm gonna roll tonight. No, so basically the whole way that it works is that basically have any of you heard of the book series The Culture?
No.
Okay. So it's basically a sci-fi book series where it follows this it basically follows humanity, but they've created these super powerful robots that just tend to their every need, and so they want for nothing.
Like Wally.
Yeah, sort of like that.
I was thinking more Mr. Meeseeks.
Exactly like Wally.
It's Mr. Meeseeks.
No, it's not like that either. It's definitely more like The Culture.
There's a flesh pet.
Yeah.
That's actually the kind of flesh pet that I envisioned, but for reasons different to what you probably think.
My God, the people that I podcast with. So basically the way that they work... the way that they work, the rogue servitors, is that you create these really nice living spaces for your flesh pets. And they live there, and they don't work jobs or anything like that. They're essentially I was going to say a resource, but they're not really a resource. They're just like you take care of.
Like a status symbol or something?
Not even they're kind of a status symbol. Like your robots get happy for having them around. And they
Robots can't be happy.
They can be happy.
They can be fully charged, if that's what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we get fully charged flesh pets? Is that the podcast?
fully charged flesh pets.
That's a lot of letters, but I'll try and make it work.
So basically, I've been playing this Robot Empire, and I've been kind of like going onto Twitter and posting screenshots every now and then, like, this is the thing that just happened with my robots. And it's been really funny. Like their whole campaign, their whole story has been incredibly amusing. Like the very first empire that we ran into was a collapsed religious empire, and they hate robots. And so like they are our direct neighbors, pretty much the first people that we met. And then later on in the game, I found a relic after digging through this ancient ruin. And at the very end of it, we recovered an alien body. We couldn't take the alien body out, so we just decapitated the head and took the head out. And then it turned out that the head of this guy was one of that religious race's prophets. And they were basically like, yeah, so it was foretold that somebody would find him and then bring him back to us. So that basically means that you're our chosen people. So go ahead and just like take over all of our holy sites and everything. And it's like, okay, so religious people like robots now. Weird.
I'm actually surprised that this level of detail is in the storytelling for this game. Yeah.
It's freaking great. So we were playing. I should have talked about like the starting situation for him as well. We were playing this with the backgrounds that you start off with. We were playing with the one where you actually start off with a ring world as your starting planet, essentially. And so it's basically, however it was built, you don't know. And you have access to other areas on the ring world, but they're late game. You have to kind of unlock them. So I've built this thing up. I eventually moved all of the flesh pets off of the ring world to other planets, and basically moved them onto planets where they're going to be happier than they were going to be on the ring world. Just made the ring world basically robot haven. And there's a whole bunch of narrative stuff that's been really quite fun for my robots in particular. In that the precursor race in our area turned out to be robots who lived on ring worlds, but they were really fucking nasty. So the implication almost seems to be that maybe my robots are somehow descendants of these other robots. I don't know. But yeah, it's been a ton of fun playing that. But outside of Stellaris and the robots and flesh pet master races and everything, it's been Animal Crossing.
Yeah, we probably have a bit of a three-way discussion about Animal Crossing because I suspect that Christian,
Well, a bit of a three-way.
like me, has invested a significant amount of time into this game this week.
Yep.
That's pretty much all I've been playing.
Where are we at with Animal Crossing? What's been the feels since the first opening week or so? Adrian, we'll wake you up in a few.
I'm just continuing to love it.
I love it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it more and more. I'm glad that there's still a lot more progression to go through in the game. Like the gated progression of having to unlock certain like things in your village over time. That's one of the things I love about Animal Crossing is that you can't just brute force your way through it.
Yeah.
So I really like that it's making me take my time with the game.
I agree. I think it's a really
Like
good
the
thing.
anti-Adrian game.
It kind of is in a way. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think there's aspects about it that you'd really dig, but that aspect I think you would probably struggle with a little bit. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
I
love
mean, the
that.
thing is, if it's out of my control, then I'm okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
if you just can't do anything about it, then I don't usually worry.
It scratches like certain itches that I think other people get from live service games that I get from this about doing like daily things and like because in this game it's I wake up and then I turn on Animal Crossing. It's a brand new day. I knock all my rocks. I like water my flowers.
First thing I do when I get up in the morning as well.
You knock your rocks and pat your flesh pet.
I got my fossils. I talk to all my villagers, etc. And I have like it's like a really nice daily ritual that I go through. And then after I've kind of done everything, I can like putt around a little bit if I want to. But I'm usually happy. There's enough in the daily rituals for me that I enjoy, which I think other people do in like live service games. But I don't usually like that.
Sounds very mobile-y.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
I think it's taken some stuff from Pocket Camp, which is the mobile version of Animal Crossing. Definitely, like they've taken a few bits from it, but the bits that actually work, as opposed
Like
to
what do you think?
well, the crafting was introduced in Pocket Camp, wasn't it?
That's true. Yeah, the
Yeah.
crafting's the big. Yeah, that's the big thing.
And I can see why they'd introduced that in a mobile game because it's yet another thing that they can time gate, and things that are time gated in mobile games are typically the things they can monetize. So because they allow you to pay to speed up. Essentially. So I can understand why that would have its genesis there, but the way that they've implemented it in the game proper, without having that sort of monetary time gating function and just leaving it normal time gating, I think is actually a masterstroke. It's made it really work perfectly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's why I like it compared to a live service game is that it often or a mobile game is that in those games it often feels like they're like dangling something on a string in front of you and just like pulling it away every day that you can't just you're like clawing through every day trying to get to an endpoint.
yeah.
Whereas because there's no monetary incentive for them to do that, they give you enough to do every day that it doesn't feel like they're holding anything back.
I think you're actually really on the money with the comparison to live service games, Christian, because I'm thinking to myself, what are the things that compel you to keep playing in a live service game? Like, the whole format is designed to keep you in the game's ecosystem playing as long as possible, not necessarily spending money on in-game transactions, but just playing it, engaging with it, like being in that ecosystem. And having regular events is definitely part of that. Seasonal content that has a limited time associated with it, so it gives you that fear of missing out if you don't engage with it, is definitely part of it. The ability to kind of see reward for the time that you invest, no matter how small it is, definitely is part of it as well. Like, it's just that constant progression from engaging in small ways as well.
Yeah.
But Animal Crossing's been doing it since the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, but in a different kind of way. Maybe we look at it differently now because there's other things out there that are kind of doing that. Yeah. What do you think? Adam?
Question from the class.
How much of it is? How much do you interact with other people in Animal Crossing? Like if I were to get Animal Crossing, how much of the game is interacting with the three of you as opposed to doing stuff on my own?
As much as you want, really.
Yeah, I'd say overall very little. But the interactions you do have have a big impact on your game, and like they substantially benefit you a lot for having those interactions. Like, because for example, like there are 5 different types of fruit in the game. Everyone's island has 1 type of native fruit. 6, there are 6 types. Yeah. So in order to get access to the other types of fruit, you need to visit somebody else's island and get it from them. And the same works for their flowers. And yeah, so there's like visiting other people's islands kind of unlocks extra stuff for you that you can take home and grow on your island.
A really good comparison, Adrian, is the dual releases for Pokemon games. So where there's Pokemon exclusive to one and not the other, it's kind of a bit like that. Yeah.
It's like visiting someone's island, getting their exclusive Pokemon coming back. Yeah.
And is there incentive to continue to visit your friends, or is it once you've been once?
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
absolutely,
big time.
Yeah, but like I think that you always kind of have to have a reason to do it. Like just going to your friend's island to hang out can be fun and charming, but game wise it's not going to offer you much unless there's a specific reason, like you're selling your turnips at on their turnip market, or you're getting some resource from them.
I think that the other big reasons are being able to buy things at their shop, because everybody's shop sells different items each day as well, and there might be some particular aesthetic items that you're really chasing that they might have in their shop, or that you don't even know exist, and you see that at their shop, and you're just like, holy crap, I've never seen that before, I'll grab that while I'm here.
That's true.
But because a lot of the game's kind of built around the customizing the aesthetics, like I think just building something cool and showing it off is a big draw as well. Sure.
I mean, what I was doing the other day with friends was just like, they just came around to my place. They were all in North America, so they get access to the Southern Hemisphere fish and animals and everything. And we were just running around fishing and catching bugs. And it was just like, 2 hours of doing that together. It was really good fun. Just nice and relaxed, They did go and run around the stores and everything a little bit, but that wasn't really the focus. So stuff like that you can absolutely do together. Like you can get out of season animals and such by doing that with somebody that's on the other hemisphere.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's tons of different options and reasons to actually play together.
Yeah, there's quite a lot actually.
Yeah.
I was going to say my thoughts on the game have actually evolved quite a bit since we first discussed it when, Christian, the week you weren't here. One of the big comparisons I made, sort of talking about it for the first time, being like a week or two into it, was that I felt that it was it's scratched the same itch for me as Stardew Valley, but it wasn't as good as Stardew because Stardew had that farming sim sort of element to it as well, where I felt like kind of Animal Crossing did a lot of that stuff but didn't go as far. I would like to say that I would completely change that opinion now, because I found that Animal Crossing has a couple of big things that Stardew Valley doesn't do, which I didn't actually realize I needed until I played this game. One is that it actually does have the farming in a small way, but it's more of a challenge in that the farming in Animal Crossing, I think, is to do with the flowers specifically, and actually being able to create new varieties of flowers by sort of growing them in particular formations and cross-pollinating them and getting some weird combinations, I think is actually really fucking cool. And it's something I wish Stardew Valley did, like the ability to sort of create new kind of plants like that. I think there might
hybrids.
Yeah, there might be some sort of hybrid thing in Stardew Valley, but it's definitely not a bigger feature like it is in Animal Crossing. But the biggest thing that I think sets the two apart, and why I think I might actually prefer Animal Crossing now, is the ability to customize your game and create and collect unique items just for the aesthetics is way above and beyond what you can do in Stardew Valley. Like,
there's it's like thousands and thousands of items.
And they can keep adding stuff. It can be an infinitely sort of, growing and evolving kind of palette of things to choose from.
How do I catch them all?
Yeah, I don't think you ever will, because I'll just keep adding more in. So, and there's places to use them too.
Yeah, even outside of actually building and using them, it's fun just collecting all of the recipes in your recipe book. Like I like just scanning through my book and just seeing all the shit that I can make if I wanted to. That's a fun collection in and of itself.
There's also a degree, I think, of like you get to customize your village in terms of the villages that are living in it as well, which is another really neat thing. So like for right now, I know with my village, like I've got a whole bunch of exercise freaks on my island, and a lot of them are just super annoying.
I've got one as well. It's like living with my wife.
I think that's an archetype. There's so many like muscle bound.
Yeah, there are. It's insane. But like, so it turns out, so if you if you beat up your villagers with nets and such, they don't care. Like they just get depressed. But if you ignore them, they get the hint, and that's when they start thinking about moving off the island. So I'm currently in the process of ignoring like half of my villagers, and the other half I'm just constantly pampering with gifts.
You need to be careful because after a certain number of days, they will run up to you, and they will, unless you turn your back to them, they will force an interaction with you. They'll talk to you. So if you see them run, you have to turn your back and just ignore them.
No, go away.
If you look at them, they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
But it's also like there's cute little interactions and everything. Like being able to customize your villagers and being like, hey, look, this outfit will look really cute on this character.
Dude, I love going to Isabel and like just ratting on other villagers, being like, this bitch, the way she's dressing, it's just not appropriate, okay? And Isabel's like, are you serious? I'm going to do something about this. Oh my God.
Gets her smash on and just goes and...
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fun Easter egg in the game. Apparently, if you enter in the Smash music, Isabel recognizes it.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
That's cool.
Okay.
And she goes, wait, that sounds familiar.
That's
Nice.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, speaking of Easter eggs, like the Easter event that's on at the moment.
Oh God.
I mean, it started out being pretty bad in terms of like the amount of drops that you were getting that were replacing other activities in the game, which was a real bummer because you were trying to do that other stuff and not have it interfered with by all the Easter crap. But they seem like they've been pretty responsive and actually sort of dropped the occurrence of those things like reasonably quickly after the complaints began. So.
It's vastly better.
Yeah, and it's good to have that confidence that there's that sort of adaptive feedback loop happening. So yeah, which is
and it'll all be over soon. I think it's April 12th is Bunny Day. I think so. 4 days from recording.
Yeah,
Yep. Not soon enough though. I'm still tired of it.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of it.
it's true. It's a long event. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Good game is good, I guess.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Other good game that I wanted to chat about this week. So I went back to Control this week because the new DLC is out.
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, and I've been playing Control Foundation. So I will not spoil anything for the sake of Christian because I know that you probably want to get to this at some point.
Nope, never. Fuck that.
Oh, that's right. No, that's right. You're not going to touch DLC. Yeah, that's right.
I will because I care.
And my opinion of Control has only soured since I stopped playing it.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. Overall, it's just left no impression on me, that game. I just feel like it was just not memorable and just didn't excite me.
Yeah.
At all.
It's weird. Like, I think that, I mean, you and I definitely had very different experiences with it. But, like, your usual habit of not going back to play DLC aside, I actually do understand that to a certain degree because I struggle to go back to play games again after I've kind of mentally moved on to something else. Like, I think that's very natural. And even though coming off Control, I think, when was the last time I talked about it on the show? It was probably about 3-4 weeks ago.
At least, yeah.
Not too far ago. Like, that amount of time passing, I actually did struggle to go back to it. Like, even when I loaded it up, I was just like, yeah, this doesn't feel quite as comfortable as it did when I know the last time I was playing was. And it took me...
You platinumed it, didn't you?
Yeah, I platinumed it. So I went through everything. And by the time I finished platinuming it, I didn't feel sick of it. Like, I could have continued playing because I enjoyed the loop. But there was, I'd done all the content, so there's no point. But going back into it, like, I was kind of slightly rusty, kind of slightly, I was sort of running around a bit aimlessly, I should say, just thinking, where was the fun again? Like, I want to find the fun again. I know it's here, for me at least. But then I sort of kicked off onto the new content, which you actually have to go to one of the locations to begin the mission. And it sort of started off slow, but once I got into it, it was like, okay, cool, this is the stuff that I remember and I really like. One really interesting thing they do with Foundation, though, which caught me completely off guard, is they actually introduce a new a couple of abilities to you in the game, but you don't get both of them. You have to choose one or the other. So, yeah, which I thought was really interesting because that means that I don't know if you get the second one later. It's possible that you do. But for the most of the expansion, at least, it looks like you'll be engaging with one ability over the other. Both of them seem like they're designed to interact with the environment in kind of similar but slightly different ways. So that there's things hidden in the environment which you can only get to using one of these new abilities. I'm not sure if you can get to all of them if you only choose one over the other. So there could actually be some secrets that are kind of locked off depending on which one you pick, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just like, yeah, that's a bit... The completionist in me really rails against that. And I'm just like, it's that FOMO feeling again. Like, I don't want to miss out on stuff because I've made a particular choice. But the other side of me kind of goes, it's kind of cool to force people to make a choice where your play experience is going to differ to someone else's. Like, I do like that aspect of it. So... I don't know. The story element seems kind of cool so far. I mean, you do go down into the foundation of the oldest house, and for anyone who hasn't seen this element of the game, it's like this giant sort of sprawling maze of these monolithic sort of black basalt pillars that are holding the entire place up. And it's creepy as fuck. But when you go down there, you discover like this sprawling cave network where there's basically these creatures that have been infected by the Hiss, the main antagonist of the game. So you basically end up fighting hordes and hordes of, for lack of a better description, infected cave people who come at you real fast and real aggressive, like a lot of sort of melee style combatants, which means that you need to be quite agile and get the fuck out of dodge before they just jump on you and swarm you. So a bit different to how some of the other things in the game have operated so far, but yeah, no, it's cool. Like the story elements are cool. The character interactions are still really cool. The place that they're actually taking the story, I appreciate. I think it's actually really fun what they're doing. And I actually realized when I sort of got in and started playing it that there was a few bits of lore that I hadn't actually read from items that I'd picked up in my last playthrough. Like I forgot to actually read the stuff associated with them. And I realized that I missed all the Alan Wake references. So I actually got all of that now, having gone back into the game. So I've decided that as soon as I finish this, my next port of call is I'm actually going to play Alan Wake because I've never played it before. So,
hell yes.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing your opinions on it because I want to replay it one day too.
Yeah, and because apparently the second DLC is going to be a bit more Alan Wake centric as well, from what I've heard. So yeah, so that will be very, very interesting. But yeah, no, I like it. I think it's cool. But if you're burned out in Control, Christian, you're definitely not going to find anything you want.
Alan, wake me up when that game gets good.
Nice.
Wake me up inside.
I was going to do the same thing, Adrian.
All right.
Lovely.
I was going to cut you off, but it just seemed like we should let you go. Anyway, let's jump into some industry news this week. So we actually did have a couple of surprises this week in terms of updates on various things going on. The first one of which was that PlayStation came out of nowhere in the last sort of 28 to 48 hours. 28 is a weird number. 24 to 48 hours, I should say.
It's 28 to 43 hours.
It's all a blur.
I could say that. It's probably about right, actually. So yeah, we got our first look at what is the new PS5 controller. So
The DualSense.
DualSense. So we're moving from the DualShock to the DualSense. What did you guys think, sort of seeing this for the first time? Anything stand out?
It looks fucking cool.
Yeah? You are
like
a fan. Yeah.
I am a fan, yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that if I throw it, it will return to me.
But that's no different to the current DualShock.
No, this is way curvier.
Yeah, that's
My
true.
first thought on seeing it was, is this modular? I thought for a moment that the two white bits could like detach, and I like zoomed in on it. I was trying to look for like a seam. I'm like, can you take those off? Is this like a VR controller? I don't think it is, but that was my first thought.
Maybe it has like those shell, so you can actually take it off and replace it with like colored compartments.
It wouldn't surprise me if they came out and revealed that those white bits could be taken off.
Well, we had that brief sort of discussion on Twitter today, and I sort of raised the point that given how much money Nintendo's making on the alternate coloured Joy-Con controllers for the Switch, like it seems crazy that PlayStation, if they had the opportunity to have like panels or a way to sort of color code or color theme their controllers, which it seems like they definitely do with this design, why would they not do that and sell like different colored versions of it? Because holy shit, people would buy that. I would buy that for sure.
Yeah. But mind you, that would be cheaper than the Wii controllers, because the Wii controllers come with everything in them. Where it's just like shell compartments wouldn't be that expensive.
I guess what I'm saying is I think that PlayStation would probably sell a whole controller. I don't think they'd sell the components.
I fully expect them to sell controllers that are different color. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just that the design lends itself well to that paneling, is what I mean. Yeah.
I think Christian might be onto something, because I can fully imagine those white parts sliding up the black part and like clipping into place. Wouldn't surprise me.
The actual buttons though would need to have a color swap method to them as well, I would suspect, because having the white buttons left behind when you change the color of the plates would be weird. So
I bet they light up. I bet the buttons
Yeah.
light up.
Oh, true. Yeah, that could be right.
Well, because my initial thought wasn't for customization. It was literally that they would come off and be like detachable controllers, like almost like Joy-Cons. But like I said, I don't think that's it. But if that is the case, then I said it here.
That'd be pretty crazy.
But look, really, honestly, like it's like a controller. Like it's nothing groundbreaking. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, so we're going to be playing with another PlayStation controller that has a white bit on it. Like, sure,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't excite me that much.
So a couple of notes that they mentioned about it. The new wireless controller will feature things like haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and a built-in microphone array. So the microphone array actually being in the controller is kind of cool. I like the fact that you'll be able to see the chroma color glow from the front instead of from the top instead of just the front, which I believe is something that's changed in slightly more recent adaptations.
Yeah, on the latest version, there's like a translucent section beneath the pad that you can see the light shining through. It's not,
I've got one of the original sort of versions of the controller, so
you wouldn't be able to see it. It's like literally on the just below the trackpad.
So below there, you reckon?
Yeah, there's a section of that plastic is like translucent, and you can see the light coming through there. It's not. Is it the top?
I think at the moment you get the glow there. That's all.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's the top.
It's the top of the trackpad, not the bottom.
Okay, sure.
So just before it curves over the back.
So you can kind of see a hint of it, but not as clearly as
But I actually hate that. I prefer the old way, because for me, I don't want any lights shining at me. I don't want to see anything. I just want a controller in my hands. So I don't like this new version. How it looks like it has a more prominent light on the front. I hope you can turn that off.
One thing that it comes in very handy with, and we experienced this when we were playing that game at my place with the four of us. Who the name escapes me?
The ball thing.
Yeah.
Party triangles.
No, I'm sorry, Tim.
Party triangles.
Last
Dorito chips.
ball.
Teleblast, that's it.
Teleblast.
Yeah. So when we were playing Teleblast, and the controllers actually all had different colors, so it was easy to tell sort of player identities. Yeah.
And that's literally only time that's helped me in the eight years since the controller's been out.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's one.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I don't know. I like the idea of it. The haptic feedback I think could be interesting if they implement it well, but again, it'll rely on game sort of developers actually, using that technology and making sure their games take advantage of it. So
if you could somehow attach a flesh pet to the controller to incorporate some of that haptic feedback, then
I am the flesh pet, and I am attached to the controller.
I'm worried it doesn't have a headphone jack like so many things these days, because I use mine all the time.
Although if the controller itself has Bluetooth, I will not care about that. So
true.
We don't live in a batteryless world, though.
We'll see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Either way, but I don't know. Like, if this is the look and feel they're going with, then I'm all aboard that. I think it looks fantastic. It did remind me very much of the Detroit Become Human kind of look, though. So,
it's very sci-fi.
Do you feel that the color scheme will carry over onto the console itself, and the console will be black and white?
I think it might,
because you think they kind of want it like matching aesthetically.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the PlayStation Slim design they did, the one that came out slightly after the PS4 Pro, wasn't that white? I could have sworn it was. Or was that the Xbox? I'm thinking of the Xbox.
Might have been the Xbox, but usually, like when Sony sells a white console, it'll come with a white controller. Like they'll usually match it. Yeah.
Because I've got the Destiny 2 PS4, and that was white and has a white controller. So
I'm not so worried about the controller getting grubby or dirty, because I'd actually kind of in some ways like to see the dirt and be able to clean it. But we know traditionally, like particularly looking back at Nintendo consoles of old, that like white things often age really badly and yellow nastily and things like that. So not that we live in a day and age where like consoles need to last that long anymore, because I don't think people are going to keep their retro PS5s potentially. So I don't know. Yeah. Or are you, Christian? Are you going to keep all your retro consoles?
He's going there again.
I'm fine.
I can tell.
Anywho, all right. You're a sick man, Adrian. All right, moving on.
Yeah, Adrian.
Fuck you.
Whipping boy.
The other stuff that came out is Xbox had another Inside Xbox presentation where they mentioned a few interesting things. So there's another expansion coming for Sea of Thieves, which actually sounded pretty cool. So again, this has given me a reason to want to jump back in and mess with this game a little bit again if Matt is keen to play with me after what I did to him. So we'll see. So they're introducing a update which is called Ships of Fortune, and it's gonna have a whole bunch of stuff added with regards to the factions in the game. So for anyone who's played before, you'll remember that there's a few different factions. You got the Merchant Alliance, you got the Gold Hoarders, the Order of Souls, and that sort of stuff. And they don't really do much. They kind of just give you quests. And sort of relate to some of the cosmetics that you can get in game, but apparently that's actually going to be ramped up quite a bit, where like you'll actually sort of follow one of those paths and get to a much sort of cooler level of being able to get sort of unique things from that particular order. So the Order of Souls, for instance, they were talking about doing like sort of spirit wreathed ships that look all sort of spooky like and that kind of stuff. But apparently they're adding a NPC faction to the game as well, which is going to be like a foil when you're playing PvE, and that's actually going to try and hunt you down if you get more involved in supporting the existing factions, which sounds kind of cool. And they're adding cats to the game, which is interesting.
Is it
Very important.
The butthole version of the cat?
They're delaying the release so they can
Warframe
remove all the
did it.
buttholes. So, yeah. I don't know. Warframe removed the
Warframe
buttholes?
already has cats.
They don't have buttholes though.
No.
No.
No, it's not like Warframe at all. It's Cats the musical cat.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is fantastic, by the way.
The actual movie or the musical?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. But I like cats.
Jesus.
Magical Mr.
So a few other things mentioned during the Inside Xbox Prezo, but the one thing that caught my attention, which I just wanted to sort of share briefly now, is there was a new trailer for Obsidian's new game, which is a survival game that's entering early access on the 28th of July called Grounded. And as you'll see from the footage that I'll play in just a sec, this thing is pretty much looking like a survival sandbox equivalent of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So, yeah, it's super interesting kind of idea. There's a local...
Garbage.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got an aesthetic that I think you'll either like or you won't. But,
That's the spirit.
yeah.
I'm massively disappointed. I will say that much.
Why is
Like-
that it wasn't something more Obsidian?
Yeah, it's not Obsidian. It's like Microsoft's bought them and said like, okay, Fortnite.
Looks
Like
like, it
that's-
was made in dreams.
Yes.
It does look a bit Fortnite-ish in some ways, I will say. Yeah.
I think we need to stop saying that things look like Fortnite, because
That's true. They didn't invent that.
otherwise everything
Aesthetic.
looks like Fortnite. Like,
Do I look like Fortnite?
yes.
Yes.
Where's my $1 billion?
But you have
Look, you were dabbing last week, so
That's true.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, I'll do it again.
to, please don't.
oh fuck no.
Well, it is a online 4-player multiplayer though, so would you be interested in giving it a go if it actually looks like it's fun as opposed to being the exact sort of genre?
If it gets decent reviews, I mean, it's Obsidian. Obsidian typically do good stuff,
Is it free?
but it's not an RPG, so
Yeah, it does have a story element to it, apparently. There's a story campaign and then the multiplayer component of it as well. To me, it kind of looks like, what if it was like Sea of Thieves style game, but set in like a shrunken backyard environment? Because it kind of does look similar-ish in some ways. Maybe the base building sets it apart. I don't know. It's unique.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who knows? Honey, I Shrunk
we'll see.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is so long ago. My God. That movie.
They're doing a sequel though with Rick Moranis.
I heard
Hey,
that.
Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
He's like Hollywood's good guy.
I wonder what it took to coax him out of retirement. That would have been an interesting conversation.
Money? lots and lots of
I
money.
think they've thrown money at him before. I don't know if it's just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a family man.
Well,
Like Guile.
I wonder how much money again is going to be thrown around ill-gotten with your thing, Christian. What's going on?
There's twists and turns in the story, right? So, has anybody heard of the saga of Cooking Mama Cookstar, aka Crooked Mama? No. So,
No.
so this is a game. So Cooking Mama, traditionally charming little Nintendo series, little Cooking Mama, and you do little recipes, blah blah blah. Last April, there was an announcement trailer for a new Cooking Mama game called Cookstar that seemed to have nothing to do with Nintendo, and it was announced that it was coming on PlayStation 4 as well, which was the first time a Cooking Mama game would come to PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer came out alongside this bizarre interview and like press release where they talked about how the game was going to feature blockchain technology, like the same kind of stuff that like runs cryptocurrencies. And there was a quote from the press release saying, "We are using blockchain technology to add new innovative gameplay that investors can have equity in. Putting aspects of Cooking Mama on chain will take the user experience to a new level, reinvigorate a popular franchise, and give investors an opportunity to make handsome returns through a digital preferred share offering." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this, like, and then the game disappeared. Like no one.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
It does.
Yeah.
Totally.
This was April. No one heard anything about it until the game was like released 2 days ago. Out of nowhere. Like they hadn't announced ahead of time what the release date was going to be. There were no new trailers since April last year. And suddenly the game was released. People were like, what the fuck? And then a couple of days later, it was taken off the eShop and the PSN store, ripped off online. And the physical copies, which were mostly still in transit, or some had made it to stores, were already being recalled. And then it got like the allegations were thrown against the developers that they had embedded like blockchain, like Bitcoin mining software, basically in the game.
Yeah, this has happened before once or twice, hasn't it? Mm.
Yeah, blockchain is basically just like it's basically just a way of generating truly unique and secure digital keys through really complex algorithms. Like Matt might be able to explain it better.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's very bullshit.
It's techno-babbly bullshit. Like you will not give a crap, Adrian. Like I don't understand it either, and I don't care to because it's bullshit.
Yeah. But basically,
can you put it into an appropriate cooking metaphor?
No.
Oh.
So there was like a 4chan post and a Reddit post where people had like data mined the game, and they said that like it was using up like 100% of the CPU of the Switch and like only like 30% of it was allocated to the game, that the rest was all being used for Bitcoin mining basically. And it was overheating people's Switches, and it was like draining the battery in like crazy short time. And then that was a bit of a scandal. But then there was an interview with one of the developers, not named, but apparently on good like authenticity, and he basically came out and said, "No, it's not a Bitcoin scam. We're basically just incompetent. This is our first game." They basically said, there's a quote here. It goes, "The statement about cryptocurrency in the media release was all buzzwords. The head of Planet Entertainment, their publisher, knows very little about these things. He just put some fancy language to get potential investors who like that stuff." So just flat out saying that was bullshit. They're just trying to get investors. As for the crashes and overheating, that would be because this game is made in Unity by a team of people working on their first ever game. So and they said there's no way crypto mining could get through, because I doubt anyone on the team would be even able to make such a thing. Like, yeah.
Falling back on the incompetent clause is an interesting pivot.
And then they explained further that
is that legit? Or
this seems to be legit. So this is one of the developers saying it's not a crypto thing, and then he goes on to explain why it was actually taken off the store, and it's because of a legal issue between the publisher and the IP holder. So the IP holder of Cooking Mama is like a Japanese company, and then Planet Entertainment is the publisher, and the IP holder kept wanting them to continue polishing and working on the game, but the publisher just wanted to get it out the door. Like they just didn't want to invest any more money in it. They're like, fuck it, let's just kick it out the door. So the publisher went behind the IP holder's back and just released it out of nowhere. And that's why there was no release date ahead of time, because they were just trying to literally just kick it out the door as quick as they could.
Yeah.
And then it was out for a couple of days, and then the IP holder basically called up Nintendo and were like, look, can you guys just take that down because we're your friends? And Nintendo were like, okay. And yeah, that's what happened.
That's a mess.
So they're going to finish the game?
No, I don't think so. It says, it says that there is a legal battle between the publisher, Planet Entertainment, and the IP holder. Planet Entertainment released the game against a request by Office Create, the IP holder, to keep polishing the game or perhaps even cancelling it. Once they found out Planet Entertainment released the game, they used their Nintendo contacts to pull it from the eShop and stop production of cartridges. Overall, everyone at 1P that of the studio loves Cookie Mama and did their best to make the best product they could, considering interference from higher ups. I think the game is far from perfect, but would have done fine without the publisher stumbling so constantly.
So I totally buy the response that it was just a bad team, and not that it was actually doing any sort of cryptocurrency shit, because Nintendo and Sony are renowned for just how tight they test games that go onto the platform, and they would never let their consoles be used for cryptocurrency mining. Like, they would never let that happen.
Yeah. That's one of the things that the dev said. He said it's not the best product, but it made it through several vigorous reviews by Nintendo and Sony. So.
Yeah. So it will just have been like, look, it works on the consoles, it's overheating them, but
it's just poorly optimized or whatever.
It's just poorly optimized. So yeah.
So Adrian, if you want the cookie analogy, you just need to think about the battery, because it was cooking and draining due to overheating, and then when it got ingested, it created a block in the intestine chain. So
I asked for a good metaphor analogy.
Fine.
A funny side effect of the story is that the physical copies that did make it out into the wild are now like selling for hundreds of dollars on eBay.
Of course.
Just because of the story behind it, people are just like, get me this game.
Yeah, and then once they own it, they're going to go, oh.
Yeah.
It will go on a shelf.
Rare games do tend to like appreciate in value. Like this is probably an example of a game that 10 years from now will be worth even more.
But they're only worth as much as someone's prepared to pay for them, as we learned recently when we saw that Nintendo PlayStation go up for auction. So, yeah. So can be vastly inflated. Yeah. It's a weird one.
Well, speaking of cooked things,
oh dear.
I don't know what's
as bad as segues.
So Mountain Dew Doritos. No longer two separate things. They are one and the same.
At last.
Because there's Mountain Dew flavored Doritos that have released here in Australia on unsuspecting test subjects. I mean, consumers.
See, I have no idea what they taste like, but at the same time, I know exactly what they taste like.
Exactly, right?
They taste like that dried Gatorade powder that you like mix with water to make Gatorade.
It's just a meme in snack form. That's all it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, now it's like, okay, well, I don't buy a bottle of Mountain Dew anymore. I just have my gamer fuel. I can become massively dehydrated in much less time. So yeah, it looks fucking awful. Like the chips are even kind of green. Like they look really nasty, and like just the imagining the taste is really weird. Like I wonder if they have any of that Doritos cheesiness to it, in addition to like the Mountain Dew kind of lemony, limey.
I mean, if you scoff a handful of Doritos and then take a swig of Mountain Dew, it's probably just going to taste
basically the same thing. Yeah. Which honestly sounds awful. So not keen, but at the same time, massively curious.
Yeah. My question
I desperately wanted a bag to sit here and actually eat one.
I just want to know when Blizzard are going to try and incorporate it into Overwatch somehow with Diva.
They won't. They won't. Because she's already been shown to have those snacks and drinks, but they're like Overwatch brand. They're not. They're
legally distinct.
Yeah. They're sci-fi versions. In that, because I watched it the other day, that the movie of her fighting the robots. She's eating. I can't remember what it's called. Where she's like protecting Busan from robots. In that movie, she's eating chips and drinking a can of something, but it's like Diva branded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Doritos. It's Doritos or something like that.
Danny Doritos?
Yeah, Danny Doritos. Demi Doritos.
It's trash.
I think it was actually wasabi flavored Doritos.
I've
And for
tried
some
those.
reason, I can't help but imagine it would have a similar taste.
The wasabi Doritos are fucking horrible.
They're horrendous. They are
horrendous.
so bad.
Yeah, and they blow. And like I like wasabi. I eat a lot of wasabi. But these, like I ate one and was like, it just exploded through my sinuses.
Yeah.
They're way too strong.
Wasabi
I
in
was
powder
tasting
form seems
wasabi
like a
for
bad
days.
idea as well.
Yeah.
Like wasabi
What's
on
that?
fish, hell yeah, I'll fuck with that. But in powder, ugh, yeah.
Yeah. Like it gets into your sinuses, and then like for the next week, all you can fucking taste is wasabi. And I'm just imagining only being able to taste Mountain Dew for a fucking week, and that sounds like a nightmare.
I really want us all to do the one chip challenge now. Have you guys seen that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like a single corn chip that comes in its own little box that's shaped like a coffin, and it's just loaded with like intense chili, and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
have seen-
supposed
I
to be
think
like
I-
just
I think I have seen that. I've seen some people eating that online.
because in my mind I'm just like how spicy can it be? How chili can it be? It's just one chip, but
I'll do it.
yeah, I'll do it. It's probably easy.
How much are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do some research.
Yeah.
The
And we could next time we do a live podcast, we can eat it at the start of the podcast.
I was going to say, it
12 seconds.
seems to me that the real cost is when it exits your anus, is when you really have to worry about it. But, that won't be shown on the podcast at least. So.
What do you mean, Luke? I don't understand that reference.
You will if you eat one, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Well, Dorito, Mountain Dew, that sounds like something that will stay in a white PlayStation 5 controller, that's for sure.
Oh god.
Green hands, gross.
Oh.
Anywho. All right, well, let's kick on to our main topic for tonight. So, speaking of gross commercialization of things, potentially, we're going to talk about what the hell is going on with games retail at the moment. So, this is a topic that we've kind of not really, I mean, we've talked about this on and off for like the last number of years because it's not any new revelation that there's been a downwards trend as far as brick and mortar sort of games retail goes for some time. But
Morty.
yeah,
I was
brick and
thinking the
mortar,
same
yeah.
thing. Rick and Mortar.
One thing that has changed in very recent times, though, which has kind of brought this all into sort of stark focus, is we've gotten into this spot with, the biggest games retailer in the US, especially GameStop, really sort of being on death's door like they have never been before. And that really exacerbated by the fact that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they've had to shut all of their stores and people are now being forced to use digital products for the first time probably ever. They don't actually have the alternative in a lot of cases. So... and that creates a situation where, like, a lot of people are now forced to engage with digital content regardless. And is there going to be a coming back from that? Given that we're already sort of propelling in that direction anyway. So what I'd like to discuss tonight in that sort of frame is, what do you guys think is going to play out in the next couple of years as far as games retail goes? How is the next generation of consoles going to affect that? Like, what things are still actually supporting games retail and that could actually give it a lifeline? And what do you all sort of think about when it comes to your own buying habits and decisions when it comes to whether you still use game stores or not? Like, I'm curious on all of our takes as to what the appeal still might be, if any. So,
I think the biggest... I don't know, this is just from my own thinking, but I think the biggest thing that may sustain like a live retail shopping activity is the fact that so many games are bought as gifts. And if you've got someone who's buying a game for another person, you can't really do that digitally. Well, sorry, you can, but if you're talking about people who are out of touch with gaming, buying games for people who want them, they're not going to be able to do that online, and they're not. It's far easier for them to walk into a shop than it is for them to sit down at a computer and work out how to gift someone a game digitally. And I'm thinking of like parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, all that kind of thing. So I think that, and I imagine that's where a lot of games retail probably comes from now, is not gamers buying games for themselves, but other people buying games for people. So, and I don't see that going away necessarily. So I imagine brick and mortar stores will probably continue to exist. They might be a lot smaller or something. I don't know. But I wonder if sort of the incorporation of the Zing brand into EB Games, for example, was done on purpose to sort of give the store a reason to stay open.
Yes.
But that's another idea. But yeah,
One really
I know, that's
interesting
the main
thing-
thought that comes to mind.
One really interesting thing about the gifting angle, like a lot of different game services now do gift cards. Like you've probably seen, like all around places, like cards for Nintendo eShop, PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, all that sort of stuff. But there's also a lot of gift cards available for some of the online game services, like League of Legends, Steam gift cards. There's Roblox gift cards. A lot of the big games that Fortnite, for instance. Actually, is there a Fortnite card? I don't think there is. Maybe there is. Yeah.
V-Bucks, whatever.
But who's going to give a gift card to someone under the age of 14? Like,
People like giving presents, right? They like giving bigger things.
that's what I mean.
The point I was going to make
why would you give a child a gift card?
The point I was going to make is you're right about that. Like, I think there's a lot of people who would still prefer to buy a physical product when it comes to a gift, because I've got this theory with gift giving, and this is the whole topic aside from this, which I won't get into tonight because it's a long philosophical debate about it. I actually think that gift giving as a process is an inherently selfish one for the most part. Like, people generally buy gifts for others that make them feel good as opposed to the person they're buying for. And I think you could prove that in most cases. That's my opinion. Totally different argument. But I think that propels a lot of people to give physical gifts that they can actually wrap up as a box as opposed to a gift card, because it physically looks different and better and more substantial. But the difference here with the cards is that these cards are not just available in game stores. Like, you don't have to go to an EB Games or a GameStop
That's
to
what I
get
was going to say.
Yeah, like they sell them at supermarkets now. You go down to like one of our regular sort of Woolworths or sort of IGA or something like that. They have them displayed near checkout now, where you have like stands full of just tons and tons of different games gift cards. And the gaming gift cards almost outnumber all of the other ones now. So,
even outside of gift cards, this discussion of games retail inevitably has to also be a discussion of just physical versus digital media in general. Because even if EB Games closes, Big W, JB Hi-Fi, Target, they're all still they can still sell games. So and people can buy their gifts for people from JB Hi-Fi, but it's a question of, does games retail get to exist? Like, physical media can still exist. And people can, like Adrian say, buy that shit, but that doesn't mean games retail is going to survive along with it.
Yeah, I think that the reason that games retail will die, and I think that it is going to die, definitely within our lifetime, is because you'll see millennials that have grown up with all digital tech knowing how to buy gifts online for other people, so they won't need to go into. Yeah,
and becoming more comfortable receiving gifts online too.
Yeah. But not only that, but like all of those publishers that are making their games to be sold are now making their own platforms so that they don't have a retailer taking a cut. So they don't really need retailers anymore. And they only need to make enough copies to go and put into those big W's and Kmarts and that sort of thing. They don't really need EB Games. They don't need GameStop. They can just basically go and publish this stuff online on their own platforms and just go from there. So I don't think it's gonna be fast. I don't think it's gonna be in the next few years, but in the next decade, probably. Like, I don't see it lasting much longer than that.
Matt, coming from a background where you've actually worked at games companies that would have at some point had a discussion around releasing physical versions of your products as opposed to just digital, what were the sort of big pros and cons in terms of the cost for doing that, like versus benefit?
The cons are that printing onto physical discs is really fucking expensive. The pros are there are no pros.
So not big of a retail footprint or anything like that? You don't?
No, not at all. Like, the main thing you get is bragging rights. Like, hey, our game's actually on a store shelf. But for indies, it's more likely that, hey, our game's on a gift card hanging from a hanger somewhere. Like, nobody gives a shit. And you're still going to see most of your sales on digital platforms because the people that are buying small indie games are not grandma, Like, they are not recognizable brands. There's not any reason to go into a big store. Whereas if you're Fortnite, then yeah, like, go and release a gigantic freaking boxed edition with a dabbing guy in there and call it a day. Whereas for us, like, nobody's going to give a crap about the little indie VR game that has a special edition with a statute, we'd never sell a copy. So like digital just is the way to go for indies in that respect, unless you're an indie that makes it big, right? Like Untitled Goose Game will get a physical release. Untitled Goose Game with a special edition that came with a goose would sell like fucking hotcakes.
Yeah.
Like, it would go nuts, but there's no reason for smaller indies, not at all.
I think Hollow Knight might have gotten a physical release as well.
Yeah, I think through limited run games. So that's that's an interesting thread of like limited run where they just make very limited quantities of games that otherwise don't have retail box copies, and that's really just for like collectors and like enthusiasts. And yeah, like if indie games get really popular, sometimes they'll get like a limited run physical version.
Yep.
Like Darkest Dungeon got that too.
Back when indie games were just starting to become a bigger thing, like does anybody here remember De Blob?
Yes. All right.
Is it De Blob, or because there's one that's like a not the console game, but there was a PC one where you kind of like connected these blobs up together in this puzzle game thing.
Oh, that's not The Blob. That's
no, it's World of Goo. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
World of Goo had a physical release, and that was at the time they were a small indie studio, but they didn't really have digital platforms to release onto. Like Steam was still a baby at that point. Whereas now, like nobody does that because you're basically sinking money into the manufacturers making the discs and such, and also the retailers take a cut whenever they sell it. So there's even less money to be made there than what you make on a digital platform. So it's just not really worth it. And I have no doubt that every single publisher out there is looking at EB Games and GameStop and thinking the exact same thing right now, because they're having to justify their existence now through Zing and everything. Whereas Kmart and everything, they can just get by because they're selling a whole bunch of other shit and can make a loss on. Sorry, cut out there, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, just a little bit, yeah. I wanted to bring up, I found an article from July last year about GameStop specifically, and it talks about they're trialing a series of different styled physical stores.
I think we're starting to get that in Australia as well.
Yeah. But like they said that they're trying out streamlined stores, which sounds like what Games Workshop has done, where it's like run by a single person, and it's just all about reducing as many costs as possible. So it's like more limited hours, single employee, smaller stock, just try and keep costs down. So that's one thing.
Like a kiosk model, almost.
Like a kiosk model, yeah. The other model is like an esports thing where they have like a LAN cafe basically in the GameStop, and they some of the stores we focus on competitive gaming and homegrown e-leagues, and then another concept is focusing exclusively selling retro games and hardware. So they're doing like streamlined stores, esports stores, retro stores, and you can see that they're just kind of desperately trying to find some model that can survive. Yeah,
I do think the esports one has legs. Like we're actually seeing a whole lot of esports places popping up. Even here in Perth, there's a place that's just popping up at the moment. But they're becoming much more popular. There's one. Was it over in Adelaide or Melbourne that opened up days before the virus hit, and they were told to shut down?
Melbourne.
It's pretty bad.
Fortress or something.
Serves them right.
Fortress,
for having a dream.
It's terrible timing. Yeah, I think that a lot of those stores. I mean, I'm going to use the comparison to Games Workshop because it's a chain that we know quite well, and some of our listeners may be familiar with them as well. I think that aside from the fact that Games Workshop as a company has like pretty good profit lines when it comes to the raw production costs of their products and what they ultimately sell for, so that's very, very different to the games retail market. But one big thing that a lot of those stores have done quite successfully for a lot of years is the community aspect of actually building a large customer base from the community angle and actually having regular events in store and reasons for people to keep coming in. It's almost like that seasonal thing that we were talking about before. It's like keeping people in the ecosystem because there's always constant activity and you fear missing out if you're not part of that sort of ecosystem in a way. And I think that a lot of game stores don't have that because they don't have the space. or it's something that they traditionally have not sort of really done in the past. But the ones that now are emerging that are kind of doing that, like this esports model, or having like a stadium type store, or like a LAN cafe kind of thing, where they do succeed a little bit is when they do build that community angle, and they've always got sort of stuff happening because there's always people there. The one of the fun things about Games Workshop is that as a company they've had pretty much universally across all countries of that company's retail operation, they've had like a games night approach, and this is similar to Friday Night Magic at a lot of other game stores as well, where a big reason why the stores run those regular events, like always on a Friday night, like a games night or a Friday Night Magic or whatever, is purely so that they have the noisiest possible environment that they can, because that noise, that activity, that hubbub, that sort of vision of people having fun in itself is marketing for the store. So it's like coming to be part of this.
What kind of losers would go and hang out in a store that sells miniatures? Jeez.
Well, I mean, other game stores are a really interesting sort of thing too, because like there's a lot of stores out there that would not have survived over the last couple of decades as they have without having most of their sales bankrolled by the existence of Magic the Gathering. So that's another really, really good example. Video games don't really have that kind of thing to fall back on. Like their margins are so slim that they really need to run effectively, because they don't have that safety net in the same way that some other game stores have relied on, so like Magic card sales or whatever in the past. Like it's a much tighter tightrope to walk. So I don't envy them.
Yeah, I think if they went in the route though of kind of following a lot of the tabletop gaming scene, in terms of like, hey, let's have a store, but let's set up tables and consoles and PCs and that sort of thing, and basically allow people to come in and do LAN gaming. Like, have that be something that's just constantly there and available to people. And I think they'd actually see an uptick in customers, because the moment they're in that space and playing those games, you're going to have people being like, well, I'm here, I may as well buy something, Yeah.
Would people do it though? Like, it's the kind of thing that sounds like a great idea. But would people go there to play games? Would they even do that? I mean,
RF LAN still runs here in WA, and it's massively.
But that's like an event, It's not like a always open store. Like there are dedicated LAN cafes, like that Escape Portal in Carrington that Adrian and I have gone to play fighting games. That those places exist, and I'm not sure if a games retail store would draw people to them when there's more dedicated places.
Yeah.
Especially when you can just still play those games online with each other. Like, you don't really need to be in the same space. That's true.
It's the specialized sort of destination stores that I think really do well with that kind of stuff. Not just your, your shopping center or mall kind of stores that are just, dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have to basically shut over half their current stores and act special a bit more. And I think that's what they need to do. Like, if they want to survive, they're going to have to shut most of their stores, and they're just going to have to basically be like, all right, so this is what we're doing, and this is how we're running these stores and now, rather than like leaning onto the fucking trading thing that they used to do. Because I think that the reason they're dying is because they made that their business model. Like, they were only reliant on people trading in their games and then selling those traded in games to make profit, because selling a traded game was 100% profit for EB. Whereas selling a brand new game was like 5% profit for EB.
Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with dabbling in the secondhand games market, and I think it's still really sensible to do that, because it's one of the things that you just cannot do digitally. Like, it's a huge point of difference. And there's a lot of people out there that like to buy physical because they like the ability to be able to trade games in when they've completed them and get other stuff, which I think is fine. Like, to stop doing that would be madness, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But
do you guys want to buy my PlayStation 5 games so I can buy Animal Crossing?
PlayStation 5 games? Hell yeah, I'll play PlayStation 5 games.
PlayStation 4
I've got
games.
Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War. Do you guys want any of them?
I'm good.
I own physical copies of all of them, Adrian. So thanks.
Same.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Some of us are owning physical copies of these games. So what are our habits and why? So
I wanted to bring that up too. Is for all this doomsday talk of retail, I for one will miss it, because I personally do prefer physical copies still for the occasional trade in, but also they're usually cheaper still. Like released a JB Hi-Fi is usually like $69, and it'll be like $100 online. Like, it's been, I think almost always it's cheaper retail still right now. And also just the collector's thing of having a shelf with the games on. I like that collector's aspect of having physical media still.
Yeah,
But
but like
purely the money. Like I have zero cares about displaying or having physical copies. It's purely about the fact that they're cheaper. And you're right. Like,
Which is a big deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a massive deal. You get often, and we're talking a lot of money, like $30 cheaper a lot of the time. for
Hell
like
yeah.
a brand new
Unless you engage with some of those more grey sellers online, which a lot of people don't like to do. So, yeah.
but the thing is
I do
that
that.
JB Hi-Fi
Yeah, I'm going to make
JB
money.
Hi-Fi JB Hi-Fi won't go anywhere because JB Hi-Fi is making a loss on all of their games. And
It's good for me.
Exactly. But that means that they're not going to go anywhere. They'll be able to continue selling the physical copies. I don't see the physical copies no longer being sold. I see EB Games going away.
Yeah,
I
so
see GameStop going away.
I need to separate that again in my mind. Yeah, like the physical media versus games retail. I actually don't care if games retail go. EB can fuck off and die. Actually. Yeah. But I just don't want physical media to go anywhere.
Yeah, physical media I don't see going anywhere because, like, for me, I've got in the habit now with my stuff. Xbox One and PlayStation games, I buy digital. I don't give a shit. But Nintendo Switch games, I really like having the cartridges.
Yeah.
I really like having like my cartridges and my little cases and everything like that. It's really nice.
There's a storage issue with Switch, though, which is a factor. So,
yeah, there is a factor in that. But I think the cartridges are nicer versus discs, which like are a pain in the ass to store. They get scratched up, then you have to replace them. You lose the fucking game. Whereas if I have a digital version, the hard drive's not going anywhere, right?
Hopefully.
So yeah, hopefully. It's very unlikely, but the disc getting scratched up is entirely a possibility. So
yeah. Sorry,
Hey,
what
you
were
going
you
to
gonna
say something?
There's something kind of nostalgic about having like your little carry pouch with your Switch and your games. Like it's very Game Boy-esque, and there is something to be said for that. So I agree. I agree on the Switch front. I like having little physical, and I like putting them in my mouth and tasting them.
I only just bought this recently. Like,
Nice.
I have a second one. I bought this because I'm like, well, I want a slimmer one. We got the same one, of course we do.
Christian bought me one for my birthday one year, and I use it all the time.
I gotta say, Matt, this is the most dad possible Switch case you could possibly have. So,
But it's nice.
Alright, Dad.
it is real dad,
I have
real
another
dad,
one.
fake dad. It makes sense.
Yeah, I have another one that's actually like a large, like bulky red one, and it was nice. But the fact that it was like so damn big, like whenever I was traveling with it, it sucked. But so a nice slim case was really, really good.
Yeah.
But I think that the Nintendo Switch really leans into that physicality, right? Like in a lot of ways, even the controllers, like I feel encouraged to go down to the game store to actually buy the controllers rather than online, so I can actually see the colors of them and that sort of thing. Whereas like my PlayStation, I just have the white controller. I don't give a crap about buying different colors.
It's interesting. Remember not long ago, I rebuilt my PC after it died and all that shit. It turns out I only found out like last week or the week before that my CD drive is not plugged in. And I didn't even know until like a week ago. And it was
I've still got one.
Yeah, and it was nothing to do with the game. It was because I had like a DVD that I wanted to see if I could try and rip. And it's just telling that like I have no intention of reconnecting that CD drive. Like I have no reason to. Like so at least on a PC where you're talking about a machine that has 4 terabytes of storage, why would I ever need to use
I think for me too.
And for most of the games you buy physically, you got to download an extra 50 gig of data anyway.
Yeah,
That's true.
Exactly.
You may as well just get the digital version.
Yeah, I still do have a little bit of a collection aspect for physical games, but not PC games. And I think that's because PC games have always felt less like they've always felt like I've got less ownership over them, even with CDs, because they're so easily pirated and cracked and that sort of thing. So the idea of owning a PC game always felt a little dodgier anyway.
I have a theory on that though.
What?
Like Steam, and part of the reason why people dislike Epic Game Store is because Steam is so damn good at showing a library of stuff you own.
Yeah.
Whereas like, if you buy a whole bunch of games on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, how do you see your library of stuff?
Yeah,
Like it doesn't
It's
have
a couple
that
of clicks away. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think that on PC, people are used to it because it's like, here's all of my game cases on their sides, and I can see all the names of them because that's how it kind of organizes them. It organizes them like a shelf.
Yeah.
But a PlayStation or an Xbox, it's always these weird, gigantic icons. You can never see everything you have at the same time.
That's very
like
true.
it's not designed for that. Yeah.
So my PlayStation collection for the first time this month for PS4, my digital games that I have outnumbered the physical games that I have this month for the first time. But the reason for that is because of all of the free ones I've been getting from PlayStation Plus.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So my library of those PS Plus games now, which includes some pretty fucking good titles, I'll say, because I don't know if you guys realize, but they've just made Uncharted 4 free as well.
Yeah.
Is it Uncharted 4?
Yeah, it's Uncharted 4.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, that's really good.
Because they did the Nathan Drake collection a couple of months back too.
Which I got, and that's a really good example of some of the really good quality stuff they've had on that. But yeah, the reason why I still buy physical games for consoles, and you're absolutely right about the PC thing, Christian, like I agree, like I only buy digital on PC because I don't have a physical game collection for PC at all, and it seems silly to start one now. But for consoles, there's three reasons why I still buy physical copies as much as I possibly can. One, you've covered already, which is cost. Oh. Yeah, cost is absolutely a big driver because you get them cheaper. It's pretty much a no-brainer. The second reason is because I like having a collection, but for different reasons to you. I don't give a shit about owning a collection that I can display on a shelf or anything like that. I like having a collection of games that I can share with people. Like I really love being able to have conversations with people, particularly in my workplace and, friends and that sort of stuff, and swapping games back and forth so that we can actually have that open dialogue and engage with each other about the content. Like I really love having those conversations and shared experiences by being able to pass someone a disc and do that. I think that's actually really cool. I've got a couple of people at work in particular that I sort of, am regularly sort of, back and forth share games with, and we chat about stuff, and I enjoyed that a lot. But the third reason, pardon me, is because I kind of like the idea of being able to jump the queue as far as some of the download content goes. Like you often, even though you still have to download a lot of stuff, you have to download less if you have the physical copy a lot of the time. And particularly on release, it can actually make things considerably easier. And down the track with backwards compatibility being a thing as well. Like there's definitely been cases with Xbox in particular where certain games, when they started getting into backwards compatibility, have been backwards compatible as long as you've got the disc, but you weren't able to download like a full digital version of. And I think that we're not quite out of the space yet where having the disc is still going to be an advantage for a little while. So yeah.
There is something to be said for, like, when I think about the PS4 and I think about the games on my PS4, I'm still inclined to have a physical copy. But again, we're going down that same route. It's not about physical copies.
It's about games retail, It's easy to get caught up in that discussion.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck? Like, I'll buy it online. Like, if it's cheap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It comes down to the dollar. Like, wherever I can get a physical copy cheapest, that's where I'll go. If EB Games turned around and sold cheapest every single time, which sometimes it can do, if you price match, they will.
Price match, yeah.
They will just go, I'll just go, hey, JB's got it for $30 less. Rarely now ever do they go, they used to go, do they have it in stock? Can you ring them and check that they have it in stock? Because they wouldn't price match unless, that was the case. Now, the retail staff just don't even give a shit. They're just like, yeah, no worries. And they'll just price match.
Yeah.
It's a bit manager by manager cases sometimes. Like my local EB guy doesn't insist, but fortunately the JB Hi-Fi is literally like opposite them. So I just go take a photo of the shelf and go there.
Yeah.
And if I can be allowed to indulge just a personal vendetta, just briefly, against EB Games. So I especially want them to die because when I pre-ordered Animal Crossing months before it came out. Months. Now, I'm a level 4 EB whatever the fuck, right? I've got my little black level 4 card.
Yeah.
Black?
Black. And I'm looking at the website right now, and it still states on there, 2-week pre-order hold guarantee. Right? You don't even talk to me, peasant. All right, level 3. I went in there.
Sorry, you're a level 4.
I went in there like 3 or 4 days after the game came out, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we sold your pre-order." I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, we tried to call you." I'm like, "I've got a 2-week hold guarantee." They're like, "Yeah, but in this case, it was just too popular." I'm like, "That's the whole fucking point of the hold guarantee."
What the fuck?
Did you rage at them?
What's that?
Did you rage? I would have lost my shit.
I lost my shit a little bit. Like I'm a pretty reserved guy, so I was just like, but the whole point is that I've got 2 weeks to go.
What's the point of a pre-order?
Yeah, and they said, look, in this case, Animal Crossing is just it was too much of a hot item. It's sold out everywhere.
That's the entire fucking point.
Yeah. So fuck EB.
That's bullshit. Yeah, fuck EB. I agree. As somebody that worked at EB, but the only reason I still occasionally go to EB.
I would have taken that way up. I would have
surely this is an instance where it's like the single store, like someone
manager
messed up as opposed to the chain as a whole. So
I did talk to the manager about it.
What did he do? Did he do anything?
They ended up selling me discounted Nintendo credit, so I could. So ended up getting $20 cheaper because they sold me $90 of Nintendo credit for $70. So.
That's something, I guess.
Disappointing. Yeah.
I
think that one thing that I saw about a month or so ago, which is telling in the signs of where games retail is evolving, is I was looking around online for some D&D figures, like some models that I wanted to paint up for a D&D campaign that I was running, and one of the shops that actually pinged as having the models I was after was EB Games, and I was just like, what the fuck? I didn't think they carried D&D miniatures. And lo and behold, I did a search, and there was like a couple of stores over east that were. And it got me thinking that, this is what Adrian was saying before, where there's going to be a few different store models moving on, where like there's going to be certain shops that are actually branching out into other areas too. And we've seen it with all of the Zing stuff, and we've seen it with like fucking what are the pieces of shit trash that I always rail on?
Pop vinyls.
Yeah. And all that kind of thing. And I think that what is absolutely on the way out and absolutely is dying is like solo games retail focused on just video games.
Yeah.
The thing that will survive are the stores that spread themselves across a whole bunch of different things, and they are more general game stores where they sell the cards, they sell the collectible crap. They sell, miniatures. They get into some of the more hobby type stuff like, carry paints and things like that. And I think over time, the amount of sort of actual physical games media that is a footprint in those stores will gradually shrink to the point where like stuff could probably be ordered in on demand, but it won't be a regular feature. So
they'll just stock, a handful of copies of whatever the newest game is, and that'll be it.
Yeah. But stores like GameStop and EB, I think because of the model they've chosen and because of the brand that they are and the legacy that they have, as a result, they will die, I believe. Yeah. So.
I can't believe that story you just told me, Christian.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I you know me, I'm a very vocal complainer, especially when it comes, like, if I order a meal and it's not exactly what I want, I'll be usually polite, but very, very stern. Like when it comes to like, if someone turned around to me and said, "Oh, sorry, we sold it," fuck, I'd get kicked out of the store for my reaction.
They would have to. They would have to answer to your meat pet.
I would flip out. They would.
In my mind, I'm like, I don't know that guy sold it, so it's not his fault. Probably.
No, fuck him. He's part of the system. Fuck that mouth breather. You better get ready.
Yeah. So, do you guys think there'll be a shift as a result of the pandemic when we actually get back to some sort of semblance of normality?
I don't think so. I think retail is too stuck in its ways. Like that, they'll obviously continue with this mixed model of collectibles and games, but I don't think they'll evolve because of the pandemic.
I was more thinking in terms of the customer base evolving, because people being forced to use digital for the first time may now actually adapt and continue to do that instead of going to physical anymore.
Not enough.
No, I don't think significantly.
Yeah, I think most people will have moved to mail order. Like, just buying their games, maybe not from EB, but they'll be buying their games like through mail. But I don't think that's going to be a massive sea change.
If this lasts until Christmas, it will.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
If all the parents have to buy their kids' games digitally or whatever over Christmas,
that's true.
Then it would make a big difference.
I was also thinking too, like in terms of the next console generation, that could be another catalyst for change also. But with the backwards compatibility aspect of both the PlayStation and the Xbox coming out, I think that might not actually be the case. It might work in reverse because there's an additional reason for people to go out and buy old physical games again now. So, because they'll be able to use them in the new console as opposed to, not having that incentive, I guess. So, I don't know.
I think the new consoles, though, are going to really push a subscription model. And that really discourages people going out to retail because you just get free games every month.
It's true.
So-
And those models have been pretty successful for them so far. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice. All right. Well, anyway, death of games retail? Question mark? Probably. But what shape that death takes
Probably,
is-
but physical, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a while.
Kill the past. Let it die.
And on that note, let's kill the rest of this episode because we are done. So thank you everybody for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. If you got thoughts on the death of games retail, or if you work in games retail especially, we'd be really keen to hear your thoughts. Get some views from the ground, so to speak. So hit us up all usual places, mail at partyloaded.com, at partyloaded show on Twitter, it's partyloaded everywhere else, and everything via the hub on channelinggame.com.
If you sold Christian's copy of Animal Crossing, get in touch. We want to have a civil, nice
I'm putting out a
conversation.
$10,000 reward for any exchange that leads to the arrest and conviction of that EB Games employee.
What are you, the Tiger King? You
Yeah.
can't put out a
If it's connected to animal rights, it's 20,000. We're doubling it.
Yep. There's been a crossing that someone will regret. Oh no. All right. Well, anyway, thanks, gents. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Christian. We'll be back again with the usual stuff next week. Join us again for another episode on twitch.tv/partyloaded if you want to catch it live. And if not, it'll be available on podcast services everywhere as per normal. But the live show is fun. You should check it out once in a while if you haven't already. Anyway, that's it for us tonight. Thanks very much. See you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.